So you're probably working long hours every day, and you're probably working long evenings with your children every night. You barely have any me time or free time because everybody always needs something from you, and you're trying to find some sort of balance so that you can refine yourself a little bit. So you have some time to maybe read a book, take a nap, go get your nails done, get your hair done, or even just hang out with your friends, but you seem to be like failing miserably at making this happen. And I'm going to tell you a secret. It's because balance is a myth in motherhood. And in this video, I am going to share with you why I stopped seeking balance altogether as a wife and a mother and what I did instead. My name is Inez, and I went from being burned out, unhappy, and unfulfilled as a mom to being more in control, having more time to myself, and experiencing more connection to myself through kid-free vacations. Now I help moms beat burnout and take the kid-free vacations they want and need. And I also host The Getaway, which is a transformational trip for moms who want to keep a getaway on their calendar. If you're looking for some place where you are somebody and not just somebody's mama, come on in the room and hit that subscribe button. I had my first child when I was 36, and now I am 40, and I am the mother of 2 toddlers, and I am also the wife of 1 Zimbabwean man. Okay, so back in the day, balance looked like giving equal effort to everything. So I wanted to be equally present for my children, my husband, at work, for myself, community organizations, all of the things, right? Or balance looked like I was gonna get a whole bunch of work in and then try to find some rest at the end of it. And what I realized in my almost 5 years of motherhood is that it's a no on both for me, okay? They just don't work, right? Balance is not really a thing in motherhood. Balance is usually going to be a way to get just enough done and give just enough energy to all of the things for all of them to be mediocre. And I was like, I'm not trying to live a mediocre life. And I also don't want to continuously be judging myself for not being able to balance all the things. As a mom, you have a never-ending list of to-dos. Priorities and circumstances are always changing, and really, you are rarely going to feel balanced. So what ends up happening is you just judge yourself for not being balanced, and you end up in this cycle of frustration and self-judgment, right? I remember being there feeling like, I couldn't fit everything in. I wasn't spending enough time with my husband. I wasn't spending enough time with my kids. I wasn't spending enough time on me or my health, right? I stopped being involved in organizations that I was in, so I wasn't spending enough time there. I felt like I wasn't giving my all at work. Like it just was like, I'm trying to do it all and I'm trying to balance it all, and is not feeling balanced at all, right? I'm sure you can relate. And realistically, trying to find the balance left me feeling frustrated. It left me feeling burnt out, and it also left me with the feelings of guilt, right? And we already got enough mom guilt to go around for everybody. But I also was feeling guilty about not being able to balance all the things and stealing time from here and putting it over here, or stealing time from my kids and putting it to myself, or stealing time from my husband and putting it to my kids. So I just decided I'm giving up balance altogether. And this is what I decided to do instead. So what I do instead is I choose priorities over balance, right? And I'm sure you're like, yeah, Inez, I got priorities too. I choose priority too. But stick around. I may be able to shift your idea of what a priority is. So when you think about priorities, usually your priority is going to be like, my finances are a priority. My children are a priority. My husband is a priority, right? My self-care, my job might be a priority. But when you think about priorities, I want you to define your priorities as things that you have decided will get you closer to the life you want to live in the least amount of time. What are the things that you have decided you are going to focus on that are going to get you closer to the life you want to live in the least amount of time? Choosing my priorities intentionally has been one of the biggest things that has helped me to feel more in control of my time as a mom. And it has allowed me to feel more in control without the need of balancing things, because the priority may be one thing in a certain season and it may be something else in another season. And so I can focus my energy on that one thing in this season, knowing that in another season, it may be something else. And I don't have to balance it, and I don't have to judge myself for doing it. So let's talk about the way that I do this. So I will choose 2 to 5 priorities right? Again, priorities are going to be the things that are going to get you closest to the life you want to live in the least amount of time. Now, again, they may be different based on seasons of the year or time in your life, right? So if your baby is an infant, your priority is going to be different than my priority when my babies are toddlers and somebody else whose kids may be in high school, right? With regard to priority around what you're doing in your life, right? What you're trying to get closer to in your life, right? In the least amount of time, it's going to be different. But then also it could be dependent upon seasons, right? So in Christmas time, my priorities are going to be, or holiday season, my priorities are going to be different than maybe the summertime. So that's what you need to think about when you're thinking about creating your 2 to 5 priorities. For example, right now in my life, my number one priority is to maintain a strong sense of self, period. That's my number one priority. The reason why that's my number one priority is because I know that when I have my first child and when I have my second child, whenever I get into a space of sacrificing my sense of self, it's a downward spiral. That's when I start to feel unfulfilled. That's when I start to feel frustrated. That's when I start to feel stuck. That's when I start to feel burned out and overwhelmed, is when I completely lose my sense of self and everything that I do is wrapped up in all of the things and the roles that I play for other people. Motherhood is very easily all-consuming, and it's actually more easy to be all-consumed than it is to actually maintain a strong sense of self in motherhood. So for me, maintaining that strong sense of self is the way I hold on to who I am so that I can show up as my best self in all of the roles that I play. I also know that personal fulfillment and self-realization are 2 very high values for me, right? I've done a values assessment. I do a values assessment with all my clients so that they can really understand what their values are, and it helps them to set priorities in their life as well, right? So I know that those are high values for me. So I know that one of my top priorities needs to be maintaining a high and a strong sense of self. Now, when we're thinking about priorities, it is possible to set priorities and then action them in a way that is unhealthy. Say, for instance, one of your high priorities, one of your top priorities is, caring for your children. How we get into a place of actioning them in an unhealthy way is when that priority looks like always being at the beck and call of your children, spending all of your time every evening and every weekend doing for them, right? Not really having any time for yourself, self-sacrificing your desires in order to meet the desires of your children. This is when it looks unhealthy as a priority. And you know that it's unhealthy because you feel it. You'll feel burned out. You'll feel unfulfilled. You'll feel frustrated. You'll feel depleted. Anything that's feeling depleted and you made it a priority, that means that the way you're actioning it is unhealthy. It doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be a priority. It's just that the way you're actioning it is unhealthy. Then you have to think about and ask yourself, is taking care of my kids as a priority more important than my emotional and mental well-being? That's another reason why my highest priority is maintaining a strong sense of self, because it also forces me to focus on my emotional and my mental well-being, which is the most important thing with regard to me being able to thrive in life and feel healthy in life. So we talked about, setting the priorities. We talked about how you can potentially action them in an unhealthy way. Let's talk about how we can action them in a more healthy way. I plan my week and my day based on my priorities. So right now in my life, my highest priorities are: 1, we talked about maintaining a high sense of self. The second one is completing the rehab and the selling of an investment property that we own. 3rd is building a profitable coaching business. The 4th is consciously parenting my children. And the 5th is being more feminine in my marriage, right? These are the top 5 goals. So every week, I'm making sure that I'm doing things that are in alignment with these priorities. Now, don't get it twisted. I am a mother. And because I'm a mother, it is very easy for these to get thrown all over the place, right? My priorities may shift because at any moment I could be, home for a whole week with kids who have a daycare cult, right? Or, my husband could forget to do something and now I have to figure out how to get it back on track and pick up the pieces, right? So this is real life. It's not an exact science and it's not perfect in any way, shape, or form. But what I will say is when those things happen and the other priorities may need to shift, based on those things, the priority that does not shift is number one. I am always, every day, going to maintain a strong sense of self. And what that looks like is every day I decide what is going to make me happy today. I write down 3 things and I choose one to do, and I do something that makes me happy every single day. Now, if you are following me on Instagram at International Inez, you will see this in my stories every single day. You'll be able to see what that looks like. But, for the most part, if there's nothing going on, I am planning things weekly to be able to align with those goals. And if you are looking at my lives here on YouTube, you'll see I have an accountability call with 2 of my really close friends who are also, moms who are going after their goals and their priorities. And we talk about what are the top 5 things that we're doing. And one of them is always self-care. And the reason why we do that is to hold ourselves accountable to doing the things that are in alignment with our priorities. Check either one of those out if you want to see how this is actually actioned out. But this has been a game changer for me. I have found it to be way more achievable than balance in life, way more fulfilling than trying to find balance. Living a life that is priorities based versus balance based has helped me to feel more happy. It has helped me to have more energy. It has helped me to feel more like myself. It has reduced my stress and it has reduced my judgment. So I recommend it to all moms to do because it really has been transformational in my life. I want you to try this. Okay, I want you to try this out. First, try switching from feeling like you need to be balanced to deciding what your priorities are. Choose 2 to 5 of them. Focus on those. Remember, they're going to be what is the thing that's going to get you closest to the life you want to live in the shortest amount of time. Make sure that the way you are doing it is in a healthy way. And I will say, if you don't have to make maintaining a strong sense of self your highest one, but if you feel burned out, you feel overwhelmed, you feel unfulfilled, all of those things, I highly suggest you make that your first one, because one of the best things you can do is make your highest priority the thing that is going to trickle down and be able to support all the other things. Regardless of, what may be going on, that priority is going to help you feel stable mentally, emotionally, fill you up, give you energy, all of the things. So that's one of the best things to have as your top 1 priority. Then you want to figure out what you should be doing daily or weekly to align with those goals. Like, what are you actually spending your time on daily and weekly, and how do they align with those goals? Again, the ones that are your top goals, you should be making sure that you're doing something for them, period, right? Often, daily. Things that are in the lower, you might be wanting to do them weekly. Also, use these priorities to set boundaries. These are going to be the things that allow you to make decisions in your life. These priorities. So you're going to have to cut some things out, right? Because you're setting these as your priority. So there may be other things that are currently a priority that you need to shift out so you can shift these in. And the way you're going to make those decisions is by looking at those priorities. So the phone calls you make, the phone calls you take, the events you go to, the activities you attend, the meetings you attend, all of these things, you need to use your priorities as a metric to be able to determine if you should be doing these things, right? Doing those things. And then I want you to let me know in the comments how it went. Let me know if setting priorities is helpful for you instead of looking for balance in your life. If so, how was it? If not, let me know that too. And if you want to work closer with me to master this, right? Master setting and living by your priorities so that you have more control, more free time, more me time, and you feel and experience more connection to yourself. Make sure you book a one-on-one sales call with me by clicking the link in the description below, and I can help you do that. Now I need you to help me by liking this video and sharing it with another mama who needs it. This is a mama who wants, more in her life, and really just wants a community around her to help her figure out what are the steps to getting more. I hope this video was helpful, and I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.